All right, so I'm getting stuff started. How much a delay is there? Because I'm showing my, hmm, okay. Wow, that's a big delay. Okay, so let me see if you can hear me. Yep, that's good. We have 1 minute before we actually start. If people are coming into the room. Oh, all right. I'm excited. All right. So I've had this on for 4 minutes. And take a sip of my drink. So I have some orange juice, which I was going to drink this morning, but I put it in the refrigerator. And I didn't think that I had enough green vegetables. So I put some green powder mix in here. And then I was like, oh, I did have vegetables for lunch, but didn't have too many greens. So I'm going to get started. All right, 7 o'clock on the dot. Let's start. I put the caption on my Instagram and my story saying that welcome to night school. So this is what this is. Yeah, we're gonna call it night school. All right, hi everyone, Dr. Renita Glenn White. I go by Dr. V, your brilliant solutionist and life coach slash strategist slash advisor. So welcome to CIA week, coaching and action week. And for this particular series, I am sharing a framework with you that I have worked with that I've used with my private clients, and I've renamed it to the Path of Possibilities framework. And I'm going to show you the entire path. So I wanted you to know that you're here for a sequence. We are talking about how to unlock your possibilities or start thinking about what's possible for you in life. And so I'm going to share with you 5 F bombs that go along with the path of possibilities. The first F bomb we talked about yesterday or last night was focus. Focus your awareness. Tonight, we're going to talk about find your truth. So F bomb number 2 is find. Then we're going to go into flip, and I'll tell you what that is later. You'll see it on the pathway. Then we're going to go into flex, and then we're going to go into feature. You know what? I forget this every time. I am going to have to put a little sticky to record this for the Zoom room for my VIPs. All right, so all I did was do a recap, and I'm excited about this because it's like I'm really good at working on curriculum and wanting to teach people things. And if you don't know my story, I was a college professor, and then I transitioned over to life coaching. And I'm talking about life coaching. And at first I was like, oh, I don't want people to think that I've lost my mind, just being out here in this woo-woo space, but understanding the work of transformation and how the brain works and how to get people into massive action to get the results that they want into life. Then I was like, that's a whole curriculum that people really don't talk about. And all I did was transfer what I did from mathematics and all things education. And then now I have a new subject area to talk about. Now, my coaching is a little different from what you may think, especially in the area of life coaching. Coaching is all about asking powerful questions, but I use systems and frameworks to guide us along the path so that we can uncover some things and then start to ask you those powerful questions. I like a flip the classroom model. If you if you know what I mean, if you're in education or if you have an education background, where I like to teach, I like to give you content, work on some things, and then you show back up to me in class or in the virtual space, and we really get down to do the work. So what do I mean? When I taught mathematics, and this is like when I taught mathematics, and then how to teach mathematics, which are different things, and then any other subject I taught. I used to stand up and lecture. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. I used to stand up and lecture and do all the things in the front and do the whole song and dance and ask the students questions and all the interaction and things like that. And I would realize I would be worn out. And I remember something that a college professor said to me. She was a consultant then, and then she became one of my college professors when I went to the university to get my PhD and worked with her. But I remember her as a consultant, and she would always say this: he who does the talking does the learning. And it didn't register to me then. But then as I started like really looking at my teachers when I was an academic coach, and then when I became a college professor, I was like, yeah, I don't need to be standing up here doing these hour 15-minute lectures, or sometimes class would be 3 hours long, and the university where I was, they wanted you to do the song and dance for 3 hours. I was like, yeah, no one has time for that. So I started making videos back in the, I mean, I was gonna say back in the day. I started in 2016 as a college professor. So I would do these videos. Oh, well, I'll show that later. I was gonna show you my little contraption. And then I will put them up on the learning management system and tell the students, go watch it. I'm doing all the problems. And if you get stuck, then come back to class and then we'll talk about it. So that way the students will have something to say. They would be more interactive. So they would be talking. And then we can have a dialogue about things. So it's like we're not starting from scratch. And if you didn't do your work, you were just left out. And that pushed students to actually, well, I may need to do a problem or two. I need to read at least a couple of paragraphs so I can jump into this conversation, because Dr. Glenn White is not going to be up here teaching, not at all. So that is my approach to this transformational work. So that's what we'll do. And so you get like a little sample of this week. I'm going to show you some frameworks. I'm going to show you a model. I'm going to ask you some questions. And then I am going to answer some questions that some of my VIPs, if they're on live, they can come on screen. Some of them have been shy. But so they'll put their questions in the chat. And if no one has questions for this group, I'll just let you all know the questions that were asked in the morning class, and we'll go from there. All right, so why did I start this? I gave you all pretty much a detailed story day one, but I am going to share a little bit more about that. And this is why, if you saw the blank screen in the beginning, I had to go get something that I didn't get to show the morning class. So the pathway to possibilities, like I said, I think a lot of us have had these dreams, goals, and ideas. And there have been people who are really good at chasing their dreams and chasing their goals. I was just watching a YouTuber, and I remember following her for a while. I wasn't following her from the beginning, but I remember when, this is funny, when she had like 900 something thousand subscribers. And now old girl has 3.6 million subscribers. So and then she started talking about her journey and how she makes these mood boards and how everything pretty much came true, if not that year, at least the following year. So she's like, she's a powerful manifester. Things are coming true for her. Now, whether you believe in all of that or not, what I got from that was she allowed herself to dream about what's possible, and then she started doing the things towards those things that she wanted to see to show up in reality. A lot of people know it as law of attraction. And that's not woo-woo. If you believe in Jesus, the Bible, that's also biblical. You ask for what you want in his will, and he will give you the desires of your heart. So I saw that today, and then it ties into the story that I shared earlier. What started all of this, of course, my own personal journey, but then I started reflecting, and it started really before I got into the personal development industry, as a coach. And I remember when my mom passed away, if you don't know, my mother and my grandfather passed away 3 weeks apart back in 2012. So this year is the 11th death anniversary, and it's been a journey. And I remember cleaning up my mom's stuff. Like, I had to pack up the whole house, go through all of her stuff, and this didn't happen all at once. This was like a couple of years later, or a few years later, that, I went through her stuff because, anyway. And I remember way before she passed away, I remember her sharing an idea that she wanted to write a book. And my mom was really big in the church. So this is my mom. So if anybody know about this hat get up, she was one of those women, call her evangelist. And she was one of those people. She would travel, especially in the state of Florida, up and down to all these churches, teaching. She was really good with women's ministry and young adults or the youth, and she would teach. And what people loved about her was that she made practical connections from the Bible to real life. She always had props, she always had visuals. And if you watch one of my lives from before, you will see I get that from my mom. So I have a lot of visuals and you'll see me writing on the board. So I get that from my mom. And I remember her sharing that, but it was kind of like she didn't do too much with it. And the only thing that this person said to her was write down your ideas and then mail them to you so that they will be yours and you will have proof that when you start putting your work out there that these were your ideas. So I remember her doing that. She mailed them. I remember the day the letter came, and I remember her putting it in her Bible. So fast forward years later, I go open it. And of course, I'm bawling, crying, oh my gosh, this, that, and the other. And I just felt this massive pull to write the book for my mom. So I didn't get to share it earlier, but this is the book now. I talked to my publisher and I was like, at some point we're gonna have to redo this cover. But this is where my mind was at the at the time. This is the space I was in. So the name of the book is Practical Applications for Biblical Principles, Lessons from Our Mother. So so you have my mom's name, my name, and then I wrote it with my little sister. Trying to see. Okay, my little sister. And it's not a big book. And what it was, a lot of the lessons, oh, this is my OG copy, the first copy my publisher sent to me. So what this book was about, a lot of the lessons that my mom taught for Bible study with the youth or the youth and the young adults. And she would teach Thursday nights. And we called it Thursday Night Live back in the day. If anybody know about 412 East Kennedy in Enville, Florida, you know about Thursday Night Live up there in the room. And it was so powerful to see so many young people trying to cram into a classroom to learn about the Bible. It was my mom, it was some others, Reverend Chad, shout out to him, Ms. Pope, shout out. And then came along Reverend Young, shout out to him. And now Pastor Andre. And I'm gonna stop naming names for people if they see this, they be like, well, you left me out. But my mom was instrumental in the practical application part to get people to be like, oh, that's what the Bible meant. Now she loved the King James version. So she would use the King James to tie it into, to make these practical examples. She wasn't reading the TPT, like I love the Passion Translation. I love the Message version. My mom was straight King James, King James and her concordance. So I remember her wanting to write this book, but my mom passed away before she was able to do that. And at first it was like, oh, my mom, she passed away. I am sad. I am hurt. But as I've gotten older and really started doing this work, I realized that so many people would never experience her because she didn't tap into her full possibilities or her full potential. She wasn't in a space or community to nurture that. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that God made a mistake to have taken her too soon. I'm not blaming my mom for not going after her dreams, but sometimes I don't want to say but because that usually negates everything that you said before. I'm going to say that there are just situations where if you're not putting yourself in the right environment, or if you don't know that this is possible and you get around the people to guide you and lead you along the way, then those possibilities just fall flat. And that's why a lot of people say the graveyard is the richest, wealthiest soil in the world, because so many ideas go there to die. So one of my missions and dreams, especially doing this path to possibilities framework, and then later when I talk about my membership, is making sure that we bankrupt the graveyard. And then the second place is in the workplace. I believe so many of us we're in our careers, or even in the business space, we're in our careers, we're in our businesses, and it's just not doing it for us anymore. We've reached that goal, we've hit that plateau, and then it stops, right? And it's like, well, what happened? We used to be like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed going forward and saying, I'm going to conquer the world. And then we get to a certain mountaintop and then we stop. We stop allowing ourselves to dream. So I'm here to bankrupt the graveyard, helping as many people. My goal is 1 billion with a B, 1 billion people to leave this planet empty, before you get to the graveyard, or let's not even wait till you get that far in your work environment to tap into your brilliance, your potential, your possibilities, even while you're still in your career. All right, so that is in a nutshell. That's another reason I wanted to share with you, another story time I wanted to share with you about why am I doing this coaching in action week. Not because I'm just up here trying to get some clients and people to join my membership. I'm giving you all of this because if you never join me, if you never join anything that I do, if you never watch any other video that I do, I want to leave you with something tangible that you can go on about your merry way and have your life transformed. Because that's also a thing. I believe that if you come across my path, you are going to be inspired to make some changes and take some action. All right, so this is CIA week. Day or night 2. So yesterday in our previous class, or day 1, we talked about focus. Now, I didn't have this little diagram picture for you, but I am going to show you my pathway, my actual framework, and it has like visuals on it, so you'll see it. So we talked about focus your awareness. And we went through a whole bunch of scenarios and questions for you to ask yourself about how do you even start tapping into the possibility. First thing you have to do is focus. And then today we're going to talk about find. You're like, find what, Dr. V? We're going to talk about find your truth. All right. So yesterday we talked about focus your awareness. And then today we're going to talk about finding your truth. And you're probably saying, well, what does that have to do with possibilities? Well, here's the thing. When you're just minding your own business, being comfortable where you are, when you're minding your own business and you're not thinking about anything, you're going with the flow, there are like no interruptions. Life is good. And then the moment you start saying, I think I want to improve a certain area of my life. Now, you may not say it in those words, but you may have seen something on TV, on social media, something that sparked you to say, you know what, I really could, save a little more money, or I really could get into better shape, or I really could get a new car. I've been driving around in this thing. I think I could. It's not that there's anything wrong with it, but I can upgrade a little bit. The moment that you start having those thoughts, it's like all hell breaks loose in your head. Then it's like, well, why do you want to lose weight? You can't lose weight. You tried that before and you failed. Or healthy food costs too much. So you don't want to do that. You're already on the budget when you're trying to save money. Then it's like now all of a sudden everybody wants to go out and all these trips and all these ideas, all these people are making plans when it's like, well, where were y'all, 6 months ago? Or trying to get a new car. And then it's like, so the interest rates, or where are you going to lease? All of these things come up. And then it's like, I was minding my own business. And then all of a sudden, when I wanted to upgrade or think about what's possible, all these thoughts came up. Instead of getting down on yourself, I'm going to tell you what that is. That is your brain trying to keep you safe. That is all it is. So it's not like we're not going to go through this whole drama, but it's your brain trying to keep you safe. Because what your brain knows is we were good right here. I like being comfortable. We don't know what that's like over there. We don't know what a new body feels like. We don't know what that type of car feels like, or we don't know what it is to have to try to start saving that money. So let's not even start. And then we don't want you disappointed if it doesn't happen. So why would we put ourselves through that? Same thing if you try to share with family and friends and they say some of the similar things and you're like, oh man, they're such haters. Well, let's dig a little deeper. I don't want to say your friends and family members are haters. Now, can that be true? Yes, but we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt. What they're really doing is trying to keep you safe. Again, they don't want you to be disappointed. They don't want you hurt. So while they're saying things that sound negative, if you look behind the why they're saying it, for the most part, is to keep you safe. But your job is to focus right here on you. Be aware of what you want And we talked about all of that with focus your awareness. Now it's time for you to take a deep dive into finding your truth about why you want to go on this path of possibility. So we're going to talk about the what happens in your head, the Verizon network, Sprint network, T-Mobile network, AT&T, everybody, Spectrum. I'm not, I want to highlight just one company, but remember that commercial where the man was walking, there was a whole bunch of people behind him just chattering. It's like a lot of things that go on in your head, and we call it chaos. So what do you do to find your truth along this path? I'm going to ask yourself 3 questions, and then I'm going to show you a framework of what that looks like on how do we control that circle of chaos. And what chaos really is, if you have, I've been a classroom teacher, and if you walk into a room and all the kids are everywhere talking, moving, and it's like you walk in, it's like you're thinking everyone should be sitting down in their seats, but it's a lot of action happening. That could look like chaos to you. If you ever go into a daycare or maybe your own child's room, playroom, and toys are everywhere, and it's like, whoa, that's chaos. Or like clutter swirling around, imagine that in your head. So a circle of chaos, a lot of stuff, confusion in your head, and you want to deal with that. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions. So take out your pencil and paper if you have not done so, or you can type notes on your phone. The first thing is, what's going to pop up are some old memories or beliefs that you have about whatever it is that you want to focus on. So let me back up. If you want to do this live with me, remember, I'm only going to I'm going to introduce 5 areas to you. They're the standard 5 areas. I call them the power pentagon, but because it's 5, I'm a math person. But it's health and wellness, spirituality, relationships, which can be any type of relationship, career and business, and then finances. Did I say that? Spirituality, health and wellness, relationships, career and business, and finances. All right. Pick something in that realm, and we can go from there. All right. So when something pops up, whether get into better shape, read more books, buy a new car, get a new house, get a new friend circle, have a better relationship with your siblings, whatever the case is, you're going to have to figure out what you're holding on to, because there's a reason why that possibility came up. And then there's a reason why you haven't achieved it. All right. So you're going to ask yourself, well, what am I holding on to? What are the thoughts and beliefs what keeps popping up in my mind when I think about this possibility? Because remember, when we focused on it and we focus on our awareness and we know that's what we want, we start putting that mindset. Remember, we start either adopting the mindset of someone who already has it, or we've up-leveled our mindset and now we're putting those things into practice. And when we're putting that new mindset into practice, that's where those thoughts come up, those thoughts that don't serve you well. So you're going to say, well, what are you still holding on to? So the point of all of this is all that chaos. We're going to take it out of our head and put it down on paper. I do suggest you literally pencil to paper or pen to paper. I suggest you don't type, because there's something about connecting your brain and your motor skills. Remember back in elementary school, your fine motor skills, something about the connection and the power of that. So we're taking it out, because right now it's like, I don't know what's happening. Why do I keep having these thoughts? And you're swirling up there, but you got to take it out and put it down and look at it. So what are you holding on to? The second question is, what are you confused about? What is your chaos? What is so confusing? Or you can ask yourself, why am I acting stuck? Because if you've been doing the mindset work and you're like, it's still something there, some resistance still there, you got to ask yourself these questions. So what are you still confused about? Why are you acting stuck? And that's what it is. So you write that down. Now, once you get it out, I'm going to show you how to do that, because you're probably like, all right, I don't even know where to start with those 2 questions. Great. We're going to do the circle of chaos. So I've done this work myself, just like I did when I was teaching. I never did an exercise or an assignment that I had never done myself, or did something similar to it. So I don't just see something, think it's cool, then it's like, okay, you go do it. Everything that I show, I've done myself. All right, so circle of chaos really means, so I did this when I was with my coaches and going through all of my stuff. And then I've worked on this with private clients as well when we've done our VIP days. So, oh, that's one thing. I'm not talking about my VIP day during this challenge, but I wanted to bring that up is because you can make a massive shift in your life in one day. And I'll share that story about a client, and that's we did this all in one day. Or I've done it with people and we've broken it up just like this. All right. So we're gonna talk about your unhealthy patterns. So your unhealthy patterns. So meaning every time you think about this particular possibility or going into this direction, you may find yourself procrastinating, avoiding, overeating, overdrinking, sleeping, just anything, just finding yourself getting distracted. So now you have to dig deep into that. So I'm going to give you some prompts to help you. Now, I'm not going to go through the full thing to unpack it because we would be here for a while, but I am going to give you enough to start. So that's not me holding anything back, but just for the sake of time, I'm going to give you the entire circle with one sentence stem for each one to get you to start moving. So the first one is, when I think about what's possible for me, the unhealthy pattern I do or I get involved in is I sabotage myself. So I sabotage. I spell sabotage. So you're going to write this down. See, remember, find your truth. We got that magnifying glass. Like, we're looking at this stuff. This is the work that people don't run to. And it's like, and I'm going to be honest, I was like, Jesus, why did you transition me into this particular coaching? And then I thought about it. I was like, why did I had to teach math. Why did I love math so much that I wanted to teach it? One of the hardest subjects people hate. So then it was like, here I am with transformational work. And it's like, people don't raise their hands and say, hey, transform my life. Okay. So this is the work that's not the sexy part. Sometimes people like the coaching, like, well, what's up for you today? Well, let's take a deep dive. Let's look at, just just talk to me and I'll listen. These are not venting sessions. Okay. So when you come with me, we get some stuff done. All right. So I sabotage myself by only that. So if you were in the group with me or you were working with me one-on-one, you would tell me, because we're in a safe space, you would tell me, and then I would listen, and then I would ask you follow-up questions. But since if you're not in my VIP room, you can't talk back to me. So I'm going to trust that you are telling the truth on your paper. All right. So you might as well tell the truth. No one's looking at it but you. So you know how you sabotage yourself. You act like you're confused. You act like you're overwhelmed. If you want to build a healthy relationship with someone, and usually romantic, and things are probably going well, and they could be better, and then you start being more intentional about you. And then when it's actually working and you actually see a change in the relationship, do you go find something stupid to argue about? That's one way to self-sabotage yourself. So only you know that. And then we're going to go down to, I recognize my need to control. So when you're doing this work and you're looking at your patterns, so maybe you do sabotage yourself by doing something, or maybe it's a control thing. And it's like, when things are going well, you're trying to save money. Do you avoid the saving part to go find something to control that has nothing to do with you? Do you become like, you don't want to, somebody could help you do this in this particular area, but you're like, so no, I need to be involved. It can't work without me, or you don't know me like that. I have to do it my way. If it worked out, you wouldn't be in this chaos, you wouldn't be in this confusion, we wouldn't be going around and around in this circle. So you may not recognize that you're doing this, but this is the time for you to start recognizing. And you do this by really sitting down in a quiet space and asking yourself these questions. And if you sit for a little bit, things will start coming up. They probably have been coming up, but you haven't sat still long enough for it to actually materialize and come out of your mouth. You're probably thinking, oh, that's just nothing. Oh, no, it's something. I need you to grab that and write it down on the paper. And then you probably go back around the circle and you're like, you get angry. What are you angry about? Ask yourself what you're angry about. There are times when you have a goal or an idea or a possibility that you want to do or move towards, but there's something about that you're probably holding on to from the past. Maybe somebody said something, maybe you tried it and you got your feelings hurt, maybe it didn't work out the way you wanted it to work out, and you're still holding on to anger. And we're going to deal with that on day 4 about anger. Be honest with yourself. Find the truth about that. Put a magnifying glass on that so you can really, really look at it. Because if you don't tell yourself the truth, it doesn't matter if you adopt the mindset of someone else. It doesn't matter if you read all of these things that successful people do and you try to imitate them without doing the work on you. It's not going to work. So, simple example, if you look at morning routines of highly successful people, I'm obsessed with those. I don't know why I watch so many of them. And you have that mind, you say, okay, this is what they do. I'm going to do it and I'm going to write it all out. And then let's say you start doing it, but then all of these thoughts come up. And then if you don't sit there and say, well, why don't I like writing in my schedule? Why don't I like waking up? Or whatever the routine is, you keep coming at a roadblock. That's because you haven't addressed something. And it could be something so minor. And that's the thing that I think people don't realize. It could be something traumatic. And when I say traumatic, it doesn't always mean a car accident or any type of violence or any type of like detrimental sickness or things like that. It could be a word that somebody said to you or a look that you interpreted the wrong way that caused you trauma. And that little thing is holding you back. And you could have been angry about that. And that led you to not wanting to follow a morning routine. I know, sounds so ridiculous, but those are the things that our brain does. And our job, especially as coaches, we walk up there together, pull this stuff down, put it out on paper, and then start cleaning it out so you can have a clear path to your possibility. All right. So if that is making sense to you, my VIPs, you know what to do. Put your comments down below. And if you're interested in joining VIP, you can do that for the rest of this week. It is pay what you want. We're starting at $5. Like if you want to buy me a cup of coffee. I'm trying to think. If this was late night, what could we do for $5? We would have to go on a special and get like a wine down Wednesday and treat every day like it's wine down Wednesday. We would have to get house wine though for $5. You have to get house wine. So if you think I'm worth more than house wine, I'm just joking. So I'll be here all week. I'll be here all week. So that is what I wanted to talk to you about. We're going to wrap that up. So remember, you are focusing your awareness. And today we're focusing on finding your truth and go through those sentence stems that I just shared with you. Then on the next class, we're going to talk about flipping something. I'll tell you, flip your script because I want to show you the path anyway. Then we're going to talk about flex your bounce back. And then finally, feature your brilliance. What happens when we get to the end of the path of our possibilities? All right. So I want to share a few things with you. I am going to answer some questions that my VIP sent. Here's one. Someone sent in. It says, why do I have dark thoughts even when I try to be so positive? Why do I have dark thoughts even when I try to be so positive? Well, here's the thing. We all have dark thoughts. Even the most successful people have dark thoughts. So don't condemn yourself for having these dark thoughts. Don't think that there's anything wrong with you. Now, the thing is, how long do you linger in these thoughts? That's what you don't want to do. That's where you want to start shifting your mind, say, okay, I recognize it. I know it was there. And now I'm going to switch it. You have the power to switch. So here's one thing, like my mom used to say to us when we were growing up: trash in, trash out. And I'm not saying your thoughts are trash, but you got to see what's going on in your ear gate, your eye gate. I said ear, your ear gate and your eye gate. What are you constantly listening to? What are you constantly um, watching? And then I'm going to say, like, I don't know, there's no mouth, no hole, but what is going on in your head? What are you entertaining up here? So kind of like what you're saying to yourself internally. So I guess we could say mouth gate. If it's always dark and negative, then of course that's going to be the dominant thing that keeps popping up. So you're going to have to change what you're watching, change what you're looking at, change what you're saying to yourself, even if you have to adopt like some affirmations to say to yourself until you start believing them, or listening to podcasts with positive thoughts or positive conversations to filter through. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I'm not saying to never have a dark thought. It's we need to have some light shining in there. So when the dark thought pop up, then you have something to turn on the light so that it goes away. So I'm not saying that never have them, but you need to start building up that bank of positivity. So instead of trying to be more positive, like you just efforting positivity, just start introducing more positivity into your flow, and it'll come out naturally. One other question says, I'm a college professor and I love what I do. However, I hate the location. Well, I'll get into that. I know I should be grateful working in this institution, and they named the institution, but I won't say it because I don't need y'all trying to go find people. And I worked hard to get here, but now that I'm here, I hate it. I want to move to a different state altogether, but I feel stuck. So if you don't know anything about being a college professor, you go get a job where the jobs are open. It's not like you can these jobs don't come out like every year. You got to apply for them a year in advance, and when they open, you take what's open. Now for me, I was just so adamant about leaving Florida that I didn't apply to any schools in Florida until the second go round when I didn't get hired. Then I was like, okay, Jesus, you want me here, then I have to be in a certain location. And the school that showed up, I was like, all right, there it is. I just got to take it. So now my institution, small private liberal arts college, I wasn't complaining because I got a chance to stay home. This person, the school where they went, where they work, it is a R1 institution because I know the name. And the R1 institution is a research one. And when we were in our doc programs, and I'm pretty sure this person is similar, the goal is to go to an R1 school. Research one. You want that status, you want that title, you want to go to these top tier schools. So I live in Florida. Think about the University of Florida. That's one of them, Florida State. All right, so you want to go to these top schools. And that's all they tell us. So I'm pretty sure this is all they told this person. So then you're there. And then it's like, oh, okay, I don't like any of this. So what I would say, of course, be grateful where you are. No one is saying that you're ungrateful for not being there. But then you got to go back and focus your awareness. What don't you like? What do you like? And then wherever you want to go, what is the mindset of that professor in that particular location? Now you have to be honest with yourself. Why do you hate it? Is it really just the location? Is the people? Or did you really not want to do that in the first place? And you felt the need to do that because of what was placed on you if you were pressured like me to do the same thing. So maybe that's a little bit. And then you ask yourself, well, what's going to happen if I do change it? What are the people going to really say if you up and leave? What are they really going to say? What is really going to happen? So when you say you feel stuck, does someone have chains on you? Are you glued to the desk? Can you not leave? Are there no planes or anything flying out where you are? I'm pretty sure it's not. So technically you're not stuck. You're stuck in your mind. So you're asking yourself, well, why? Do you not know how to move? I'm pretty sure you do. Are there other institutions in the state where you want to go? I'm pretty sure they are. Have you applied there? Are there jobs? Can you do that? So let's not create these roadblocks that aren't really blocks, or let's not create these problems that aren't really there. It sounds like it could be not wanting to let go of that status just a little bit. And you got to be honest with yourself about that. All right, so that's what came in for the night class. Yeah, that's what came in. So earlier today, I was going to do the same one, but also you can go watch the replay. The replay is still up. And if anyone has another question in VIP, go ahead and do that while I transition to showing you all some information. I'm going to share my screen that I am so excited about. Share my screen. All right, so the first thing I'm going to show you, I'm pausing because I want to make sure that you can see it. So I'm going to look on the screen that I'm watching to see if it comes up. There is a delay. Hi, everyone watching. You should tell me where you're coming from. Where are you? Because I can see that you're watching, but you didn't say anything in the chat. All right, awesome. All right, so this is the path of possibilities. See, I didn't make something up. And we're going to, step one, see, look, focus your awareness. Then we find your truth. Then you flip your script. Why isn't it moving? Oh, snap. Okay. You flip your script, you flex your bounce back, which we'll talk about, and then you feature your brilliance. That's the pot of platinum or the pot of gold, whatever your precious metal you want to talk about. So then I say, see what's available when you follow the path of possibility. It's time to reassess, realign, reinvent, and realize. So that is what we're going through all week. I told you I wasn't holding anything back. Now, what does all of this mean? Well, when you come join me in my membership, and I'll talk more about this on day 3. I chose a membership because I didn't want people to get all excited about something and then they feel fired up and then they drop off. I remember that when I was doing consulting work or having consultants come in, and all the teachers would get excited, everyone would get riled up, and then a month, well, 2 weeks really, but I'll give them a month, 2 months down the line, they revert to their old habits, or nothing has changed, or they were like, well, I tried, but no one was there to help me, so we just gave up. And I was like, time out for that. And I noticed the same thing in some of the coaching spaces, but we clarified that because if you signed up for a consultant thinking it was a coach, but they told you what to do, they did their part. But if you were looking for someone to guide you along the way and then help you when these thoughts pop up, that's what coaching does. All right. So then I was like, well, I don't want people just to interact with me, learn some techniques, and then fall off. And then they're looking for me like, I needed you back then. And I was like, well, I need you to stay in this hub, this incubator, but I'll share more about that. If you want to know more and you just can't wait for day 3 or night 3, you can go here. Let me share my screen again. You can go here. So it's called Power Up Your Possibilities Incubator. And this is where I want you to focus on. Now you can go to my link tree. I put that into the description, and it's the second tab. That's easier than trying to go to my website to find it. I love my website, but I don't want you to get lost in the sauce. So download the brochure, and then you'll have the brochure that I'll share in a second. Well, I'll wait to day 3 so I can wrap up time. I don't want to hold you any longer, especially for night class. All right, so this is information about the membership. When you scroll down, and we'll read more about this on day 3. I do have a founding members price or special, and I've been doing this since the beginning of February. I've been doing like a soft talk about it, watching my reels, the Brilliant Possibilities whole series on my YouTube channel about that. It's a workbook to follow along and everything with that. And they've got information about the membership. So for me to do coaching in action week, I was like, oh, well, let me show people what they can experience, get a little taste there. So this is what it is. $247 for a month, and I'll explain what the 6-month commitment is on day 3. But if you download the brochure, I go into more details about that. So it says 4 days left, because I've been talking about that, but don't worry. we'll get more into that. So you can go there and we can read more about it, but I will talk more about that on day 3. But if people don't show up on day 3, I don't want to miss the opportunity of showing you this information and then giving you an option or an opportunity to say, okay, how can I continue? Because that would be a disservice for you too. My coach used to say, it is a disservice for me to crack you wide open or show you these steps and then not give you an opportunity to move forward. So you can have a clear yes or a clear no, but it is my job to give you that invitation. All right. So we are wrapping up night school day 2. Remember, go back and watch night 1 if you missed it, to go into focus your awareness and then find your truth and go through these sentence stems. And I didn't draw it, but it is really a circle. When you see the workbook, because there is a workbook that goes to this, it is like a circle. It goes like this. Well, y'all know what a circle looks like. And then so it's like your thoughts. You keep going around unhealthy pattern, sabotage, control, angry, unhealthy pattern. So it does go in the circle. I didn't realize that. I was like, that does not look like a circle, but it is a circle. Like all those thoughts go in your head. All right, I'm done. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for night 2 of Coaching in Action Week. We're going down this path of possibilities, and I look forward to seeing you on night 3. If this is too late for you, remember that we also have a morning class at 11:30 a.m. on my Facebook page. Now, Facebook was tripping earlier. It was on Dr. Vernita Glenn White for day 1, but on day 2, it just showed up on my personal page on Vernita Glenn White. So I'll leave you a message. I was like, I am not going to let this tech get in my way. I know the workaround, and I just let it be where it was going to be. All right, so I'll be on Facebook on one of those pages at 11:30 if you want to join the morning class. Thank you so much for being here with me tonight. And remember, the world needs you to be well, to be empowered, to be bold, and to be brilliant. Until next time, bye. Hold on, VIPs. All right, bye, everyone.